Welcome back. Taking off into Memorial Day weekend, over 39 million people are expected to pack up and go this holiday, an 8% bump from 2021. That's according to AAA, but still falling short of 2019 levels. AAA Northeast Senior Manager Robert Sinclair Jr. joins us now to discuss. Robert, always great to see you here. What are we expecting for this busy holiday weekend?
It will indeed be busy, and Memorial Day is usually the precursor for what's going to happen during the summer. And we're anticipating a very busy spring, summer, and even into the fall. AAA is one of the largest leisure travel agencies in the country, and we're seeing bookings just really through the roof, 25 to 50% higher than last year. Your chart indicated that we're lower compared to 2019. We're about 2017 levels. We're coming back. We're still not at the halcyon days of 2005 when more than 44 million traveled. But there's a lot going on. People are traveling internationally, which is really surprising. They're going to London and Paris and Rome and Dublin and Vancouver and the Bahamas and Bermuda. And domestic travel is very, very strong indeed. If you like the mouse ears, folks are going to Orlando and Anaheim. They're also going to Vegas, Seattle. They're just really traveling. There's a lot of pent-up demand, I think, from people being cooped up for the past couple of years, and they are going somewhere and doing something despite higher prices for just about everything.
Yes, indeed, higher prices. I want to pick up on that point, Robert, because people are paying more for gas. They're paying more for those plane tickets. They're paying more, as you say, for almost everything. Are we seeing any kind of, it doesn't seem like that yet there is being much dampening effect from those higher gasoline prices in particular.
Well, I think what might be happening is that people will cut back on maybe the distances that they travel or scale back on the activities when they get to their destination. Interestingly, the percentage of those who are driving to their destination this year is actually a little bit lower. We're about 90% of all travelers driving, and last year it was 92%. So that might be a concession, but the overall number of those who are driving is 1.5 million more than last year. So it's, tracking the numbers, it's really kind of difficult to get a read. I think really people that really want to get out, and driving is always the most popular form of transportation because it gives you the independence to leave when you want, come back when you want. You have transportation at your destination. And in years past, the price of gasoline would make up 10 to 15% of the budget for a family trip. Consider what a dinner for four at a nice restaurant would cost. And gasoline prices start looking a bit more affordable. But I think folks are making that concession and staying a little bit closer, perhaps, and maybe doing less and maybe cutting back on one of those expensive meals, maybe taking some peanut butter and jelly and a loaf of bread along for one of those meals while they're on their trip.
PB&J, love it. But not everybody's going to be driving. Some people are going to be flying. And I got a quote from your notes here. Air travel is going to continue its rapid rebound, growing 25% this year to just over 3 million people. So what can we expect? Long lines at the TSA, I know, but what can we expect?
Yeah, it's going to be busy. And I think for those that are traveling internationally, it's very important that you know what the COVID restrictions might be at your destination. Yes. They might require a pre-test, a negative test, or something like that. And then you have to be prepared when you come back to the United States and what the requirements might be. So it's very important that you check into those things. And if you're using your driver's license as well, if you're traveling internationally, you're not using a driver's license. But domestic travel, you can use a license, but it has to be the real ID or the enhanced ID. And that's going to come to fruition in a year where you absolutely must have that extra higher level secured license in order to travel domestically, and it's picking up. Though there have been a lot of route cancellations due to the lack of sufficient personnel. Just heard today that JetBlue is canceling 10% of its routes for the summer. I mean, for that to happen at the peak of the travel season, things are bad, and it's because they have insufficient flight crews, insufficient cabin crews. We're also seeing problems as far as personnel are concerned when it comes to truck drivers. Getting that gasoline to market, getting the crude oil to the refinery. It's a bit more difficult. We're seeing that some stations are having a problem staying what they call wet, where all the pumps have fuel because of the lack of truck drivers. And you mentioned earlier about the supply chain problems that are happening. That's related to insufficient number of truck drivers. And when there are truck drivers, they're paying through the nose for diesel, which is on average right now across the nation at $5.53 per gallon. That's just 3 cents away from the all-time high price. So it just helps the spiraling inflation to continue.
You know, I have another staffing question for you, Robert, and that has to do with getting your car serviced. One of the other things that you guys talk about, that AAA anticipates responding to more than 30,000 disabled vehicles in the region over the holiday. Now, it is mechanics who are affiliated with AAA who go out and do that work. Have you guys had any trouble getting folks out there at a time when there's a lot of staffing issues in different industries?
Well, we have a lot of problems overall with getting sufficient number of auto technicians. The dealerships in particular are seeing that problem. Modern vehicles are extremely complicated. There's a lot of technology on them, and you need skilled professionals in order to work on them. But more and more people in that work area are retiring, and they're not being replaced. Being an auto technician doesn't come to mind for a lot of young people. So the industry is really scrambling, and it has a lot of programs in order to try and promote having more technicians available. We have affiliated shops, AAA approved auto repair shops, and most of them they're well staffed. They have problems getting staff as well. But it's something that's affecting the industry all the way around. And many vehicles these days are being delivered not fully functional. That because of supply problems, again, with not being able to get enough parts, certain things might not be working on the vehicles, and the manufacturers are telling people that, we'll have this fixed in a year. Your heated seats in the rear might not work. Your HVAC in the rear seat might not work, and shutdowns of assembly lines are happening because of lack of parts. But technicians is really a big, big problem. Some folks are seeing their vehicles go into the shop and being laid up for 4 or 5 weeks because they don't have enough people to work on them. So if a young person is interested in getting a good job, auto technician, it pays well and you're desperately needed. So if you're thinking about that, go for it.
Maybe a side hustle for me. We were just talking in the chat here. We were wondering, is that the George Washington Bridge behind you? Just checking.
That is indeed the mighty George Washington Bridge, one of the strongest bridges in existence. It's got, if you notice, 4 cables, 2 on each side. That means extra strength. It's got 2 levels, and it's one of my favorite structures. My grandfather imbued in me a love for these big, grand structures. I watched them as a little boy build the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and it's just something that stuck with me. I got that picture early one Sunday morning. It was the first time I'd been on the Cross Bronx Expressway in 10 years.
Wow. And so you took that picture. It is a beautiful one. We have a lot of beautiful bridges in the New York area. Unfortunately, it's not so beautiful when you're driving over them frequently. Robert, although you have a lot of time to sit maybe and snap a picture. Robert Sinclair Jr., AAA Northeast Senior Manager. It's always great to catch up with you, especially ahead of the holiday weekend. And I hope you have a great one. Thank you so much.